This week on Dance of Joy, we talk about cheese wheels, circle cakes, and screaming like Fred Flintstone. All that and more as we watch Season 5, Episode 7 of our favorite 80s hit sitcom, Perfect Strangers. Hello and welcome to Dance of Joy, a Perfect Strangers rewatch podcast. My name is Imran. I'm one of your hosts. Joining me, my co-host, every week, every episode, my sister, Sophia. How's it going?
What's up, Imran? You know what I was just thinking about? Remember that time when I stepped in the mousetrap and I yelled like Fred Flintstone?
It's painful.
You don't remember. You weren't there, but I told you about it. It was a couple of months ago.
Yes.
I stepped in a mousetrap like exactly in the cartoons. I swear I saw my toe like pulsating and growing, swelling. And then I exactly yelled like Fred Flintstone. Yeah, that's exactly how it was. I don't know why. I just had like a flashback of that as I watched this episode.
I don't know why that's reminding you of that.
I don't know why. We'll find out.
Fred Flintstone taught us all how to yell and mumble obscenities without actually being obscene,
Yes.
right? You're just Wilma.
Yes.
Anyways, that has nothing to do with what we're talking about this episode, which is Perfect Strangers, Season 5, Episode 7, titled Father Knows Best? Comma, Part 1.
Does he?
It's a two-parter.
A two-parter.
Does Father Know Best? I know one thing. That is the name of a TV show, isn't it?
That's right. It was actually first a classic radio show, and then it was a television series called Father Knows Best and starred an actor named Robert Young. It was on the radio from 1949 to 1954, and then on television from 54 to 60.
Whoa, yes. And reruns, I'm sure.
Did you ever watch this? I feel like I might have caught an episode or two on reruns.
I remember when it was on reruns, like during the summer in the middle of the day on that station that played old TV shows, but I never watched it because it was black and white. And it was
but we watched a lot of other black and white shows.
But it was just like so wholesome.
It was like a little too, although we watched a lot of these too. I was going to say it was a little too white family for us, but
it just wasn't one of them I really
just like
got
a
into.
Family sitcom. Yeah.
I knew of the show, and it has its place in, TV history, but that's not this show.
Father Knows Best.
Father Knows Best. Yes. This show is Perfect Strangers. And if you opened up the TV guide this week, you would have read this description for this episode. Larry is understandably anxious over a visit from his perfectionist father, but in haste to prove a point, father, son, and cousin Balky get trapped in the basement, which is filling up with water.
Dun, dun, dun.
Part 1 of 2. Oh, boy. How does this happen? It's hilarious. We will find out.
This episode stars a lot of our favorite cast. We have Bronson Pinchot and Marklyn Baker as Balky and Larry. We have Rebecca Arthur and Melanie Wilson as Marianne and Jennifer. We also have another favorite couple. Well, they're not a couple, but they often appear together.
Wacky pair.
Lita Marino and Sam Anderson as Lydia and Mr. Gorpley. And then, of course, we have Father Walter Appleton, played by James Noble.
Yes, we will meet him very soon. More about him later. You'll recognize this guy.
This episode aired on November 10, 1989. And of course, listeners, you can find all the episodes of Perfect Strangers streaming completely for free on Amazon Freevee. Go there, watch them all, have your 22 minutes of joy with one small commercial break in the middle of each episode. Okay, we start Act 1 in the apartment, and it's just Larry, and he's like messing with things on the mantle over the fireplace. He's like perfecting the position of the trophies and stuff like that, and he's fussing about the apartment. We see that he's looking a little bit nervous, a little bit anxious. He's looking around the room, like trying to see that everything's just right. And then he does a little act out, it reminded me of Nathan Fielder's The Rehearsal. He did a little rehearsal where he knocks on the door and there's no one there, just him. And he's playing out this scenario and we find out what he's nervous about. He's nervous about his father coming to visit. So he does a one-sided like act out. He's like, Dad, it's good to see you. And then he's like, oh, put me down. And then he practices introducing Balky and then introducing his apartment. And then he goes, oh, no, I didn't hire a decorator. I did this all myself, like quite proudly, thinking his father's going to be like, wow, your apartment's amazing.
Yeah,
did you hire a decorator?
This is hilarious. It's just very awkward to watch as Balky walks in the background. And Larry has not noticed Balky's there, and he continues, and he goes, oh, this, and he points to the scrapbook on the table.
On the coffee table.
On the coffee table that he had placed earlier, and he goes over there, he picks it up, he says, oh, this is my scrapbook. Yeah, I keep all my newspaper articles in here. He goes, this is volume 1. Volume 2 is still being bound. Clearly thinking he's trying to impress his father.
Yeah. So it's cool. This little act out, we get so much of the premise, right? Like it's just Larry's doing an act out, but we understand very quickly his father's coming to visit and he desperately wants to
He needs his approval
his
and probably his father doesn't give his approval easily and he's very nervous. And then he goes, oh, what's this? Oh, yeah, the trophies. And he walks over to the mantle. He's like, they're really starting to stack up, aren't they? And he points out that one of them is the trophy he won during that episode where he managed the Ritz Discount Royal softball
That's
team.
right.
Remember
his
when they
softball championship trophy.
Back where they worked at Ritz with Twink Cassetti. And he says he took them to softball champions. The other trophy apparently must be the one from it looks like a bowling trophy. So remember
bowling from that,
Blind Alley, that episode where they won that. That's the other one.
Knock, roller rock.
Yeah. So Larry has his trophy in his hands, and then Balky, just watching all this, just walks up behind him and startles him and goes, Cousin. And then Larry throws the trophy in there. He's like, Balky. And Balky's like, I hate to interrupt your talk with your invisible friend, but your papa's going to be here any minute. And he tells him, I was practicing what I was going to say to him, which is very weird, but Balky thinks it's a great idea and wants to help. And he starts to put his stuff down on the chair that he's carrying.
Right. And just a note about that scrapbook. We've actually seen when this scrapbook got started way back in the third season, season 3, episode 1, All the News That Fits, when Balky and Larry first started at the Chronicle, and then Larry has his first article published. Remember, they pasted it together into the thing.
Yeah, they had rubber cement and stuff, and they were gluing in. So we've seen the scrapbook and the trophies before, which is kind of fun.
Yes. Okay, so Balky also has a bag. He's come home with a bag, and Larry asks what's in it.
Lavender bag, a giant bag.
And Balky says, Cousin, I've got the biggest cheese wheel I could find. And then he goes, you should have seen the cheese car I took it off of. And he pulls and then he does the whole, like, where do I come up with this?
He laughs at
laughing at his own joke. And he pulls out this giant cheese wheel, presumably because Mr. Appleton's coming from Wisconsin. But it's like a huge, like, who buys a whole cheese wheel?
Have you ever bought a cheese wheel? I've seen them.
Not the whole wheel.
No,
I've seen them like in the cheese shops.
You buy chunks of them, but like I've never bought. But look, Wisconsin's big cheese state, which we will find out. So
that's a lot of cheese.
He's trying to make him feel at home. That's all.
And then Larry's like, good, because Dad loves a good cheese wheel. And then Balky says, you know what I'm going to do with it? I'm going to cut it up into little geometric shapes. And he goes, circles, rectangles, maybe a trapezoid or a rhombus.
Rhombus. I love Rhombus. This almost breaks Larry. And Larry goes, Balky, cheese wheels are always cut in triangular wedges. And Balky's like, well, I beg to take issue, that he likes to say. And then Larry goes, Balky, how many cheese wheels have you cut in your lifetime? Already, the episode just started. We're getting how many times?
How many cheese wheels?
How many? And Balky sheepishly has this drawing on the cheese wheel, goes, oh, none.
And Larry goes, none, as in 0, as in never, ever have you cut a cheese wheel in your lifetime. Balky's like, this will be my first.
This would have been my first. Well, already we're getting one. Yes.
Yeah, so Larry starts to Larry-splain. Yes. He says, I am from Wisconsin, the cheese wheel state, and we always cut cheese wheels in triangular wedges. Not circles, not rectangles, not trapezoids, and never, ever, ever in a rhombus.
Oh my God. He's getting really upset about the rhombus part. and the cutting the cheese wheels. This is, he's a little stressed here.
And Balky notices, and this is a great line. Balky notices something's wrong. He says, cousin, usually geometric discussions have a calming effect on you.
That would make sense. You know,
how many times do they have geometric
They
discussions?
talk about octopuses and polygons and hectagons.
Octopuses?
I mean, octopuses. I meant octagons.
Do you know what geometry is, Imran?
No, isn't that the thing where you study things underwater?
Welcome to Dance of Joy podcast, where we find out that my brother doesn't know what geometry is.
Yes, geometry, the study of mollusks and fish. That's not geology. Geology. What are we talking about?
Is not a mollusk either.
I know about Euclid. Everyone
like
relax.
A cephalopod or something.
Cephalopod? Is that what I meant? An octagon.
I don't know. Octagons.
Listen, Euclidean geometry is one of my...
it's a mollusk. You're right.
It is a mollusk. All right.
We both don't know what we're talking about.
I don't know about geometry. You don't know your mollusk. It's a wash. Anyways, they're sitting on the sofa, and Larry admits that he's very tense about his dad's visit. Of course, he wants everything to be perfect. He wants to show his dad that he's made it. He wants his dad to be proud of him, of course. And really, he says, all he wants for his dad to say to him is, well done, son.
Oh, very relatable.
Yes, he says, when I was a kid, I used to live for a well done son. I never got one, except for the one time I asked Dad how he wanted his steak. There's your steak joke for the episode.
You
knew that was coming. How do you like your steak?
But that's a very relatable premise.
It really is.
We actually hear him say it now. Like, I just want to impress my dad. I want him to be proud.
Yeah. Who doesn't want that from their father? And then there's a knock on the door. And
that must be Dad.
That must be Dad, as Larry says.
He prepares himself.
Yes, and they're like, whew, okay. And they march over there. You go, this is it. And they open the door, and we see a tall, gray-haired gentleman in a suit. This is
dapper-looking father figure.
Appleton, the patriarch. The Appleton patriarch. We finally get to meet him.
Yeah. And Larry goes, Dad! And his dad goes, Lawrence. And Larry goes in for a hug, and his dad puts his hand out for a handshake.
Okay.
Ouch.
So this is the kind of family we're dealing with. Yes.
Walter.
Yeah, Walter just
doesn't even hug his kid.
This is the cue completely, and there are probably not a lot of hugs going around in the Appleton household.
And he says, it's good to see you, son. And Larry says, good to see you too. Anyway, and Mr. Appleton has also brought them.
Oh, he can't come empty-handed.
A cheese wheel.
Oh.
And he gives it to Larry. He says, a genuine Wisconsin cheese wheel. Don't cut it into triangular wedges. It dries it out.
Oh, my God. Okay. And Larry goes, right you are, Dad. So here we go. The first instance.
So Larry's just sucking up to his dad.
Walter undermining Larry at every step, and nothing is ever good enough. I kind of see where Larry's coming from. They got lots of cheese.
Wheels.
They do have they're gonna have to throw a lot of parties because they have
a
so
fondue
much
party
cheese. And then Larry introduces Balky. He says, Dad, this is Balky. And again, Walter Appleton offers his hand, but of course that's not going to be good enough for Balky. Balky goes, Uncle Walter! And he jumps in for a hug, wraps his arms around him. He goes, I've been looking forward to seeing you for a sheepdog's age. He goes, you're everything I thought you would be, only taller. And at this point, Larry has walked away, and Walter goes, well, height kind of runs in the family. And then Larry walks back and stands next to him, and Walter goes, usually.
Ouch, Walter. He's so harsh on Lawrence.
Larry's not the youngest, right? He's like 8 out of 9, but
he's in the middle somewhere, yeah.
Calls him Lawrence. Poor Lawrence can't get any love from his dad already. 30 seconds in. 30 seconds.
All right, now let's back up for a minute, because it seems here like Balky is meeting Father Appleton for the first time. But we know that's not true.
Yes, I remember something.
In the pilot episode, when he tells a story about tramp, bus.
Yes.
When he came to America, he first went to Wisconsin and met Larry's father, whose name at the time was George.
That's correct.
Maybe Larry has two fathers, first a father named George and a father named Walter. No, I think it's the same father. It's just a bit of a discrepancy. But if dedicated listeners and viewers like us remember that pilot episode, we'll be a little bit confused here because he's met him before.
I could pull up that clip and play it now just to prove our point. Maybe Balky went to a different Appleton household and he was just confused.
Maybe he was just in a different. Maybe he talked to a different family altogether.
And it was complete luck.
And he's not actually Larry's cousin.
Maybe that's true. Maybe he found a different Larry Appleton.
Maybe the neighbor just sent him.
Yes, George, Walter, whatever. Nobody remembers what happened 5 years ago.
Right.
So he could be whatever he wants to be. So yes, Walter Appleton is now Larry's father, and they walk in, and so. Remember all those lines Larry practiced in the beginning? He's gonna use them. He goes, "Well, Dad, what do you think of my apartment?" And Walter looks around. And he goes, "Well, hope you didn't hire a decorator." And this is so funny because Larry reacts with the line he rehearsed. He goes,
"It's rehearsed in his brain.
I didn't hire a decorator," but by the end of it, he realizes that it wasn't a compliment. First of all, he just says it like it's a compliment because he actually said, "Hope you didn't hire a decorator," and it's such a great line reading.
So then Larry's like, I did this all myself, as he rehearsed, but like with a different feeling, a little bit
and
hurt.
By myself, so you can see the dejection in Larry's eyes. Wow.
Aww.
Walter.
You really feel for Larry in this episode.
Walter, in a few short moments, has done a number, and we get right away.
Literally in like his first 3 lines.
It's amazing. So Walter, we mentioned at the beginning, played by actor James Noble, and he's really funny in this. And he's been in a lot of things. He's done a lot of TV. Most notably, I would say, would be his run on Soap, or Benson, sorry, that spun out of Soap.
That was the Soap spinoff.
It was a spinoff. Yeah, he was on there for like 8 years. And he's done Love Boat, and
he's been in some movies.
Does some Law and Order episodes, Heart to Heart, lots of 80s TV, Starsky and Hutch. Fun stuff. So this guy, I mean, when he came, another guy, you're like, oh, this guy.
Yeah.
I remember seeing this guy all over the place.
A little while later, we are in the next scene and we're in the apartment. And now we see the apartment is like decorated. You know how Larry loves to decorate the apartment, Larry and Balky, for parties.
They're throwing a party
they're having a party.
For his father? Is that what the
I guess for his friends to meet his father or something like that.
So, of course,
I think previous versions of the script might have explained that part a little bit more, but we really don't need it. It's like a party for everyone. I mean, it feels like it's the first time Larry's father has visited him in Chicago.
Yeah, so he's rolling out the red carpet, making a big deal out of it, let's say.
Which is weird because he's been there for like
a few years
3-4 years at least, and no one's ever well, his sister came, but this is the first time, so he's throwing a party, I guess, for his friends to meet his father. I guess
do we have?
Is that weird?
Balloons.
We
and
have
streamers.
Balloons and streamers
and red, white, and blue streamers.
Jennifer
and Marianne are there,
and all this stuff. Jennifer and Marianne, presumably other people are going to come too. They're still sort of setting up the apartment. The decorations are up. Jennifer comes out from the kitchen with this tray of food, and she says, "Where should I put these?" And Larry says, "On the dining room table." And immediately his father goes, finger food goes on the coffee table.
And immediately Larry caves and goes, good point, Dad.
Good point, Dad.
And he goes, finger food goes on the coffee table, Jennifer. Wow, Father Appleton. This guy has the answers to everything. As we see more evidence of this, because Jennifer and Marianne are sitting at the coffee table and they're folding napkins for a party. I guess. Yeah. That's also kind of weird.
And remember that they are flight attendants. They deal with folded napkins.
Fold napkins a lot, right?
All the time. Yeah.
So as Jennifer puts the tray down on the coffee table, Father Appleton is like, excuse me, Lawrence. He walks over there and goes, ladies, let me show you the Appleton method of folding napkins. And he sits down and you hear him go, I can show you the 3-fold star or the Appleton tulip. Neither of them's easy, but they're well worth the effort. And the
you think that Larry would have shown them that already?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing is like now you start to see all the times when Larry's like, my father had a foolproof method for this. My father, there was one way to do things in our house. This is the guy. He knows how to fold napkins. He will tell you where the food goes based on the size of it and what it's for. Wow.
So while Walter is showing them how to the Appleton tulip,
tulip, what does that look like?
The Appleton tulip folded napkin. We are with Larry and Balky in the kitchen.
I will say, though, didn't that kind of remind you of our father? Because he worked in hospitality in hotels, and there was always a way to do things, right?
There was a way to do things with food. He worked in food service in particular.
Catering room service.
I don't remember much about folding napkins from him.
He had a way to fold napkins that they did.
He had a way to fold napkins, but I definitely know that there's what I remember from him is the proper way to cut a circle cake.
Oh, right.
There is a proper way to cut a circle cake that I learned that my father taught me, and the proper way to get the bitter out from a cucumber.
Oh, yeah.
He also loved to make like party platters of like crudité vegetables or whatever, but he would cut them into little like scenes with trees and flowers, like radish flowers and, whatever. Yeah. And he was very big on presentation. And I remember I used to get frustrated because I'd be like, we're just going to eat it.
Why do you think it's so long to cut this?
But I understand now. Like you want it to look nice. Otherwise you're not going to want to eat it.
A lot of this reminded me of all that stuff. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're wondering about the proper way to cut a circle cake, let us know.
We'll give you the secret. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So back in the scene, we're back. Walter is explaining the Appleton tulip.
Yes.
And we are with Balky and Larry over by the kitchen, and Balky leans into Larry and says, I bet your papa will say it when he tastes your onion dip. And Larry says, say what? And he says, well done, son. And Larry like is still defending his father and his father's ways. He's like, I'm sure he'll say it when I deserve it. He doesn't just throw around well dones for the heck of it. And then Balky
goes, this is a great line.
Balky agrees. He says, I've noticed he's rather thrifty with his well done sons and so generous with his not that way Lawrence.
Not that way, Lawrence. But Larry again continues to defend. He goes, but he's just being helpful. Dad's great that way. He spots what I'm doing wrong and shows me how to do it his way. And Balky goes, oh, like the same way you help me. And Larry's like, boom. Exactly. Yes, this is where he gets it from.
That's where we all understand what we're watching.
Yes, that is this is where he gets all his crazy Larry things.
So they go to join the others, the girls and his father, in the living room.
And you kind of see like this tulip napkin, right? Jennifer's holding like a tulip napkin. It's sitting there.
And Jennifer comes to Larry's defense. And she says, you must be very proud of Larry, Mr. Appleton. The Chronicle doesn't pick just anybody for its investigative reporting team. And I almost got excited. I was like, he's going to be proud. Like, how can you... How can you destroy that statement?
This is the perfect time to say I'm proud.
He's on the Chronicle's investigative reporting team as a young reporter, and he does say, "Oh, I was very impressed with that."
That's right. Yes.
And Larry's like, "Really?" And he goes, "Of course, when it comes to reporting, television's the place to be."
Larry's like, television, right, Dad? He goes, "Thanks for the advice." Constantly, just covering up for him.
And his father goes, well, I try. After all, what's a father for? And Balky says, my father was for higher mutton prices. And this is a rare instance of Balky mentioning his father. We don't hear a lot about Balky's father.
True.
We hear a lot about
Mama.
his mother, his mama, and this one he called him my father, not my papa.
Yeah, that's true.
So, Balky's father is just a mysterious figure. And then, anyway, Jennifer goes on and talks about all the fun she had with her father. He used to take her to the lake, to the golf course, to ball games. And Walter says, I did the same thing with Lawrence. Oh. And he asks Larry if he remembers when they went to see the Yankees play the White Sox. They drove from Madison to Chicago. And they had box seats right behind the Yankee dugout. And Larry's like, how could I forget it? I still have the Bat Mickey Mantle autograph. Whoa. And for a moment, we think that this is a lovely moment. They're finally connecting over this memory. Walter's like, that was such a great day. It wasn't Mickey Mantle. It was Roger Maris.
He has to correct him, of course.
And then he just goes on. He's like, and remember the time I took you to the circus in Milwaukee? Oh. And Balky goes, I love the circus. show me 50 clowns in a flaming Volkswagen and I'm a happy meepia.
You know what? Me too, Balky.
So he like corrects Larry and
then
just keeps
blows
going,
it off, right?
keeps
And goes
talking.
it on. Yeah. And now we start to see Larry get a little bit of backbone.
A little bit.
Because he goes, no, Dad. He says to his father, he goes, it was Mickey Mantle. And I can prove it. I have the bat right here in the closet. And he's determined. And he puts his cup down. He walks over to the closet. And Balky follows him. Balky goes, cousin. The bat's in the basement. And Larry goes, no, the bat's in the closet. And Balky goes, the bat's in the basement. And Larry goes, the bat's in the closet. And then Balky goes, the bat's in the basement. And Larry goes,
that's in the closet.
In the closet. And you see Larry open the door and go in there, and you hear a lot of noise and things fall. And there's like a squeaky noise, like there's a dog toy in there. And then he pops out, and Larry goes, the bat's in the basement. Of course, Balky was right. But then Larry's dad is like, Lawrence, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter who signed the bat. He's like, let's get ready for the party. But then he throws in, but it was Roger Maris. And then Larry goes, Mickey Mantle. And then he goes to his dad, throws a lesson back at him and goes, Dad, you taught me being right is important. And I am right about this. Larry's not going to let this go. And Larry's dad just goes, okay, let's go down into the basement and find out.
So they decide to go down to check the bat, and they take Balky with them.
Because Balky, Larry's father says Balky seems to be the only one. He knew the bat was in the basement. But man, Larry needs this win, right? He's just one little thing, and he's like, no, I'm going to stand up for myself. It was Mickey Mantle. The bat's in the basement.
So the three guys leave for the basement. They leave Jennifer and Marianne there to welcome whatever guests show up. They're like, we're going to be right back. And we cut to the next scene, and we see the three of them entering the basement. There's like some storage lockers and some steps leading down into the basement.
Changed from the last time? Remember they were holding
they had the like apartment meeting.
Yeah, they were holding like labor union meetings in the basement back in the.
I don't know. We don't know if they're in the same building because that was the Twinkasetti building.
That was a different basement. It had a platform where they came down, but it didn't look like this. Like the whole building the reality has changed and the whole building has changed.
Right.
And this is a typical thing of Chicago buildings had these basements where you had storage cages right in the basement, and they were it was usually dark and scary and smelled musty. Like we had one of those, and we had a ping pong table down there. It was kind of fun, birthday parties. But it's just
so they're walking down these like wooden steps toward the storage cages. Yeah. And Larry and his father are still arguing on their way into the basement. They're like, his father goes, I remember it distinctly. Roger Maris was standing by the dugout. You didn't even see him. I had to tell you to have him sign your bat. And Larry just keeps saying Mickey Mantle. And they're going, Roger Maris, Mickey Mantle, Roger Maris, Mickey Mantle, Roger Maris, Mickey Mantle. And then Balky goes, tastes great, less filling. Tastes great, less filling. And they both stop and look at him. And he goes, I just got caught up with the rhythm.
Do you remember these commercials?
I do. Yes. These were Miller Lite beer commercials that were very popular from like the late 70s, into
the 80s. But yes,
into the 80s and 90s even. Yeah.
It was the thing about what was better about Miller Lite, that it tastes great, that it was less filling. Less filling being a plus of a benefit, I guess. Just so you could drink more. It doesn't fill you up. Tastes great. Of course, it couldn't have been both, but I totally remember the Taste Great Less Filling campaign.
So, now people might not recognize that phrase, but
no, I don't.
You're old enough, you will.
Yeah. So Larry opens the door. He goes inside. He gets the bat. He goes, all right.
Yeah.
He opens the cage. He goes, here it is. He walks out with a bat.
He has a bat and a ball, and he throws the ball to Balky, and Larry reads the name on the bat, and he goes, no. Joey Dolan.
What?
And they're looking at the bat together. He's like, who's Joey Dolan? And then Balky, who has the ball, he's like, he autographed the ball too. Joey Dolan, Bat Boy.
Oh my God, he was just the Bat Boy.
And then Walter says, you thought the Bat Boy was Roger Maris? And then Larry's like, no, I thought the Bat Boy was Mickey Mantle. And then Balky goes, I thought the Bat Boy was Batman's son.
I love it, a Batman reference. So it wasn't either. They were both wrong. It was Joey Dolan, Bat Boy.
Yeah. And that to me was like also very relatable how you like remember weird things and then make up some of those memories.
Yeah, you thought it
and
was
everybody
one
just
thing,
goes
right?
with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a little Mandela effect.
But
yeah.
his father, still being his father, is like, okay, he concedes a little bit. He's like, it's an easy mistake, son. And then he has to dig a little. Baseball never was your sport.
Oh, boy.
And then Balky jumps in and he's like, and he grabs the bat and he like swings it around, takes a batting stance. And he's like, I don't know about that. And he tells him that cousin Larry knows a lot about baseball. And he says, he taught me how to swing this old hickory stick so I could just knock that horse hide right into the next county. And he is showing him his batting stance.
Yeah, he does the stance, takes a couple of swings.
Walter is like, but whoever taught you that stance didn't know what he was doing. Uh-oh. Then Larry gets defensive again. He's like, I taught him that stance, and that's how you taught it to me.
Oh, this is Walter's stance.
And so Larry goes to show him. He takes the bat from Balky. He goes, and this is really funny, physically to watch. He's like, here, you crouch like, I don't know these names
either. These are baseball players.
Crouch like Stan Musial, squint like Ted Williams, stride like Mickey Mantle, and then he swings the bat, and his father goes, swing like Grandma Moses.
Oh, ouch.
Ouch.
That's a dig at Larry's swing.
Yeah, I had to look up this reference, Grandma Moses. She was just like an old lady. She was a folk artist, American folk artist. She started painting at the age of 78. Whoa. And then got successful.
I've heard of her.
And she died at 101.
Wow.
But I think this reference here was just like, you swing like an old lady, but he said Grandma Moses.
Yeah, they went for a specific reference.
And then this is great.
Yeah.
The next part is great. So his father has just insulted his batting stance, and Larry's like, but I've done pretty well with that swing. To prove it, I've got that trophy on my mantle. And then Belky goes, Maris. And Larry goes, mantle, Maris, mantle. Will you stop it?
Will you stop it?
And I thought this was so brilliant because they're now doing the double wordplay on the word mantle.
Yeah, mantle. And he goes back to the
mantle where the trophy is
and
over
Mickey
the
Mantle.
fireplace, and Mickey Mantle.
And
in fact, I found out that a previous script, the first version of the script had, it wasn't the Yankees. They were talking about the Braves, and it was two other player names. And I'm really happy that they changed it to the Yankees and Maris and Mantle just so we can get that extra bit of wordplay.
It's a little callback. Yeah, that's really really funny. That was really
so
clever.
good. Yeah.
But of course, Walter is just scoffing at his son and says, "Look, no offense, son, but with that swing, I could probably throw the ball past you." And Larry's like, "Well, there's the ball right there. You feel lucky, Dad? Let's see what you can do." So Mr. Appleton, Father Appleton, takes the ball from Balky, and he goes, "You're on." And Balky walks over and takes a seat on this little wooden box there as Larry goes to the far wall to take his stance and get into position because Walter is going to try to throw a ball, and Larry's going to hit this ball indoors in the basement. What could go wrong, sister?
What could go wrong? Well, Balky tries to tell him something, and it's one of these things where he's like, "Cousin Larry, I think, can I just?" And Larry keeps stopping him. Balky, you can bat next, Balky, and he's like, "No, I just want to tell you, Balky, cousin Balky, get out of the way." And he's like, "Okay," and he throws his hands up and he gets out of the way.
Goes back and sits on the crate.
Yeah, he sits on this crate, and then Larry readies himself again, and his father's like, "Here it comes, nothing fancy." And Balky's like, "Wait, cousin, just listen to me." And again, he's like, "Balky, cousin, just let me say what, Balky, just let me tell you one thing, Balky, later." And then Balky's like, "Okay," and he moves out of the way. He goes, "Let her rip, Dad." And Balky walks to the side by the stairs, and Walter pitches the ball. Larry swings at it. He misses. But he, at the end of his swing, all the way on the other side, he hits a water pipe that's against the wall, and the pipe sort of cracks open, and water starts spewing out.
They have a water emergency because Larry's an idiot.
But it's a small spewing.
It's a crack in the main water pipe in the basement. Right. This is a problem. How much water damage have they done on this building?
I know.
If you think about pipe dreams, that would have cost so much money to fix. And now this, as we'll see, This is huge. Like, I'm surprised they didn't get thrown out of this building. The landlord would have been like, "Do you know how much insurance I have to pay because of you guys?"
This is also not the first time Larry has caused damage with a baseball bat.
That's right. When he was trying to teach Balky how to play baseball, he destroyed his lamp too, taking a swing at it.
Remember the lamp that just keeps coming back?
And it's been there.
Lamp?
Is it still there? It's been there for a while now. I think the lamp still exists. Anyways.
Anyway, they all walk over to look at this.
Watching water come out of the thing. And Larry's like, "What did you want to say, Balky?" And Balky goes, "Well, I wanted to say, Cousin Larry, you're standing too close to the water pipe, but now that seems rather obvious." So they're all just standing there watching water fill the room. Walter goes, "I don't think this is very serious. It's just a simple repair job." And at that, Balky goes, "Oh, God."
Oh, God.
Because we know what happens when Larry tries to fix things.
Yes.
What's going to happen when Walter tries to fix things? Larry says we better tell the janitor, and Balky's all, he goes, Appletoniki plumbing, oxymoroniki. Appleton plumbing is an oxymoron. It's so funny.
So funny. And then he's like, he says a whole lot of stuff in Maposian
he's
ranting.
just muttering to himself, oxymoroniki, moroniki. So good.
And they get to the top of the stairs as Balky's still ranting, and then he's in front, and he tries to open the door, but it doesn't open. And he tries again, doesn't open. And Larry's like, "Balky, open the door." And he says, "Cousin, I would love to, but there's one difficulty. The door is locked. We can't get out."
Oh, no. The guard locked the window.
The guard locked the window. This totally reminded me of that. But he was like, the door is locked. They get a lot of things getting locked around them.
Yes, they can't get out. Water's rushing in. The door is locked. They're stuck in the basement. Fade to black.
Fade to black. That's the end of our Act 1.
Listener, join our Facebook group where you can meet other like-minded Perfect Strangers fans who dig into the details. You're going to meet a lot of fun people. And you can comment on episodes as we record them, as I post a thread beforehand. Leave your comments. We'll use them in the show. It's a great way to rewatch the show with this compliment podcast as your compliment. Lots of fun. There's a link.
Tell us what your dad taught you.
Yes, the greatest lesson you had. You can leave that in there. There's a link in the show description to join the group. Let's continue with Act 2, sister.
Act 2, we start right where we left off. Still, the three gentlemen are at the top of the stairs, and it's Balky in the front, then Larry, then the father.
This is so funny.
And Balky and Larry are pounding on this like heavy, like wrought iron door, and they're yelling help. But every time they start the yell together, but Larry yells. Balky stops at one point, and Larry's help continues.
He's like, help! Like right into his ear. He's standing right into Balky's ear, and Balky stops and looks at him and goes, "What's with that? What's with that yelling?
Why do you keep you?" And they do it a few times, and then finally they realize that no one's going to hear them. The door is solid, and
and he's just yelling into his ear. So Larry thinks when they don't come back, Jennifer and Marianne will have to come down and let him out. So they're not entirely worried yet at this point.
Yeah, and he even says, so there's no harm done. And then Balky's like, I think there's some water damage though. And so Larry's father is like, no problem. And he leads all of them back down the stairs. He says, all we have to do is to stop the leak is turn off the valve.
Turn off the valve.
Simple.
Sure.
Presto. No more leak.
Stop the water.
And Larry gets excited. And here he turns into like this little kid. He's like, I'll do it, Dad.
I'll do it, Dad.
And he like runs to the thing. And we see on the pipe, just under where it's cracked, there's like a wheel.
Yeah.
Like a metal wheel valve.
Yeah.
And Larry tries to turn it. And he just goes, like it doesn't budge
turning.
at all.
Not turning.
And here he still I thought he sounded just like such a little boy here. He's like, it won't turn, Dad.
And and his dad answers back like he's talking to a little boy. He goes, well, no wonder it's rusted. And how do we get rid of rust, son? And Larry's still like a little kid. He goes, we knock it off with a hammer. Walter goes, right. And I'm like,
he's
boy.
I'll get one. And he runs off to some other part of the basement to find a hammer. And Balky immediately is like, this doesn't sound right.
He's like, wait.
He's like, cousin. And
Uncle
like,
Walter.
Larry's already ran off to get a Walter. And then he turns to this father. He's like, Uncle Walter, hitting it with a hammer. Doesn't that seem like a rather violent way to deal with rust?
Yes.
And Walter goes, tell me, Balky, how many leaks have you fixed in your lifetime? This is the second time in the same episode.
Balky gets mansplained by the Appletons. And it's like,
have you fixed in your lifetime?
None.
How many? None, as in zero, as in never, ever have you fixed a leak in your lifetime? Well, he kind of sort of helped Larry fix it in
He did.
pipe
He
dreams.
fixed the leak in pipe
he
dreams.
did.
And also in pipe dreams, remember they talked about the Appleton hammer, how they used it to fix everything, and that was their solution, was just hit things.
So a little story continuity there.
It's consistent. Larry shows up with the hammer, and Balky is admitted to, none. And he's like, that is correct. He goes, you see, I've always worked with an Appleton. Which is all right. And Larry's like, let's listen to Dad, Balky. He taught me everything I know about plumbing. And Balky says what we're all thinking. That's what worries me. Yes, this is going to be a problem.
Boy. Larry gives his father the hammer, and they go back over to the pipe. And Larry's still like believing in his dad. He's like, we're in good hands. Dad uses tools like a surgeon.
Dad uses tools like a surgeon.
Okay. And so then we see his father sort of like do a couple gentle taps at the valve a few times. And then he hits it hard once. And the whole like wheel section breaks off.
And now there is a
whole bit of pipe. And now there's
a lot of water shooting.
Tons of water. Aggressively shooting.
Yeah, they're all got wet. It's hilarious.
Oh, yeah. It like Larry and Balky, this was a good physical bit too, where like leaned over right where the water would have hit them to watch, and the water hits them right in the face. And Balky's like, looks like the surgeon lost a patient.
Oh boy.
And then he laughs at his own joke.
Good singer. This is bad, but let's cut back. What's happening in the apartment? So time to find out.
They're having a party, I guess.
Crossfade back into the apartment. Jennifer and Marianne are there, and now Mr. Gorpley and Lydia are also the only people at the counter. And Marianne's still trying to figure out how to fold napkins.
The Appleton tulip.
The Appleton tulip. And then she's explaining. And then after Larry's father separated the crackers by size, shape, and flavor, he counted the toothpicks, separating the round ones from the flat
Jennifer.
ones.
Yeah, Jennifer says that. She's like,
so he went
clearly telling them about how like intense Larry's father is.
So Walter went on to organize more things after. This is hilarious. And she explains anyway, they got into some fight about a bat and they went down to the basement. And Marianne's like, where are they? It shouldn't take this long to find a baseball bat. And Gorpley has a great line here. He goes, you've got two compulsives and an idiot down there. For all we know, they could be tunneling to China.
Gorpley and Lydia loves this joke.
That's a mean joke, but it's pretty funny.
So then Jennifer says that she's going to go downstairs to see what's happening with them. And she leaves and leaves the other three there. Then we cut to back in the basement. And now the three guys are like ankle deep in the water. The water is pooling up at their...
Yes.
Yeah.
This is bad.
Walter has this brilliant idea to analyze the problem. And he goes, what is causing the flooding? And Balky raises his hand. Now Balky's a little kid too. And he calls on him. He's like, Balky. Balky goes, my guess would be water.
That's so good.
And he's like, good, Balky, good. All right, let's think. And then they all scrunch up their faces to think. And this is his analysis. All basements have drains, but the water isn't going down the drain, which means there is a stopped up drain. And Larry's like agreeing with him aggressively. And then Larry's still like so impressed by his father. And he tells Balky, you're listening to the master. And Balky's like, hush, I'm listening. And so his father says, all we have to do is find the drain and clear it up. And then the water will go.
Okay, it's a good plan. That's a good plan.
So he kind of assigns positions. He's like, Lawrence, you look over there. Balky, you look around in there. I'll look over here. And so they're all like crouched down, feeling underneath this like brown water.
I don't know
that's
how you're
piling
going to
up.
find a drain in dark water. You can't even see what's down there.
It's gross, dirty water. And Balky, as he's going to his position, starts singing in the rain, and he goes, I'm singing in the rain. And he does the same dance moves that Gene Kelly does
from the movie as he's splashing
the
around.
1952 film.
Oh, wow.
And he does that jumping, those sort of like, what do we call those in exercise? Those tuck jumps.
A tuck jump. That's right. Those will those will wear you out. You do 10 of them, 20 of them in a row.
Yeah, man. But Gene Kelly does that in the movie Singing in the Rain. So he does the same choreography as he sings, and then in the part where Gene Kelly sort of grabs a lamppost,
right,
and like bends his body away from it as he's singing, Balky grabs Larry to be his lamppost, and he does like this whole bendy body thing, and it's so funny. And he's singing all the way up to I'm happy again. And then Larry is just like not enjoying this at all and not having fun with this. And he's like, Balky, we can play later. And Balky just wants to keep singing this song and feel joy.
He's just being
singing
a kid,
in the rain.
And I didn't even realize they did the exact choreography of him splashing around. That's some great little detail. What a great
and he
touch.
uses Larry as the lamppost. It's brilliant.
That's so good.
Of course, Singing in the Rain was a 1952 film with Gene Kelly performing this song.
So Larry's told Balky, stop, we'll play later. And
we have to keep looking for the drain.
They continue looking for the drain. So Larry goes underneath the staircase there, and he sticks his hand in the water behind some wooden boxes, and suddenly you hear
he screams like Fred Flintstone.
You hear a loud snap, and this is something you, sister, know exactly what this feels like. He goes, ow, he pulls his hand, and there is a mouse trap on his fingers.
On his hand.
God, oh my God.
And he's like, ow, 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 get it off, get it off, get it off. And Balky just looks at it. He's like, does that hurt? And he's like, get it off. And Balky just pulls it straight off.
Wow, that's got to hurt too. That's not how you release somebody from a mouse trap. You don't just pull it straight off. You got to pull back.
I related to that so much because it just happened to me.
Yeah, toe. I don't know what's worse, the toe or the finger. Maybe the toe is worse.
Yeah, I mean, I was fine, but it felt
either way. You're not expecting a sharp thing so long. So Larry goes, well, the drain's not over there. And just then the door opens and Jennifer enters. She goes, what's taking so long? And they're like, don't let the door close. Don't let the door close. It locks from the outside. So luckily, she doesn't let the door close. She grabs the fire extinguisher that's in the hallway and wedges it in the door. So it's going to keep the door open. Woo! They're saved, sister.
They're
the door's
saved.
open. And
Larry even says, let's get out of there. Let's get out of here. And they all head for the stairs. And at this point, they should have just head for the stairs and walked out.
I blame this on Jennifer because she walks down the stairs to them for some reason as they go to the bottom of the stairs. She didn't have to come down there.
And she engages them in a conversation that could have easily happened not in the basement. But she comes down halfway down the stairs. She says, Larry, what happened here? And then here is where we start to see Larry kind of turn on his father.
He throws his dad under the bus a little bit here.
He's like, Dad hit the valve with a hammer. And then his dad goes only after Lawrence hit the pipe with the bat. And Jennifer's super confused. She's like, you were playing some kind of game? And Balky goes, yeah, baseball, Appleton style. Appleton style. And so they all turn around to face the top of the stairs rather slowly to walk back up. And before they get there, they're still about halfway up. Marianne shows up.
Oh, no.
And she comes inside the door and she says, and she looks around. She says, wow, I didn't know there was a pool down here.
There's a building pool.
And then she says, this is a dangerous place for a fire extinguisher. And she bends down to pick up the fire extinguisher. And everyone just screaming, no. And while they're screaming, she removes the fire extinguisher, places it inside the door, and lets the door shut.
Larry goes, Marianne, the fire extinguisher was holding the door open. Now we're locked in. And Marianne just goes, well, gee, tell a person. Which they were trying to tell you. And then Jennifer, trying to keep everyone calm, goes, it's okay. When we don't come back, Lydia, Mr. Gorbley will come down here and let us out.
Still a chance.
Oh, my God. There's still a chance. There's people who are like, where are these people? In the meantime, they're going to go back to work looking for the drain as per Father Appleton's leadership here.
And the girls stay on the stairs to watch. The boys go back into the water, and
the girls should be standing by the door waiting for someone to open it, but they are not.
They're like a few steps down.
They're in the middle of the stairs, yes.
And the three guys go and like search in the water again, and then suddenly we hear Balky say, I think I found it. And Larry's father goes over to him. Balky's like feeling under the water. He's like, is it about a foot wide? And his father's like, yes. Does it have a grating on top? Yes. And then he pulls his hand out. He goes, then Yuriki. And then Marianne goes, oh, there's my hibachi. And he's holding a little hibachi grill thing with a grate.
And Jennifer goes, why are you guys looking for a hibachi?
She's so confused. And Larry's like, we're not. We're looking for the drain. And then we find out from Jennifer that the drain was sealed over when Mr. Winslow spilled a load of cement down there. Carl Winslow.
Okay, a couple of things to unpack here.
Up the drain.
First of all, the word hibachi takes me back to the 80s because everybody talked about hibachis.
Do people not use them anymore?
I don't know. It's a traditional Japanese grill that's small.
That you put like coals inside.
You put coals inside.
Like an indoor grill or something.
But like back in the 80s, like this whole like patio culture, grilling outside was starting to get big. And then for people who lived in apartments, they imported this hibachi from Japan. It was smaller, so people could do it in like their balconies or inside their house.
It was before the George Foreman, I guess.
This is the George Foreman grill before the George Foreman grill. But it was people would always talk about hibachis. We never had one, and I was always like, what is this hibachi? People are talking about big seller in the 80s. Now, the other clue here is Carl Winslow spilled concrete over the drain.
Yeah.
This must have been when they lived in the building with them before they moved to their own show, Family Matters. And out of the building. So this is all Carl's fault.
All Carl's fault.
If you think about it.
Before he even met Steve Urkel, he was being clumsy and
Carl was like, did
cement.
I do that? No, that's not your line, Carl.
The drain, yes. Okay, so then the door opens again.
Oh, yay.
They're saved. And it's Lydia, and behind Lydia is Gorpley. They both came together, and they open the door. They're like, what's going on? And then everybody
The door,
starts to shout,
don't let the door,
the door, hold it, don't let it, blah, blah. And Gorpley, who's closest to the door, is just like, he's like, hey, if you've got something. And then the door slams, like he puts his hands up to say, hey. And then the door shuts behind him. And he's like, you're all talking at one time. If you've got something to say it one at a time. And then Balky's like, you just locked us all in.
Oh, boy.
And then they all start yelling at Gorpley, how could you do that, this and that? And then Larry's like, wait, calm down. And then Jennifer's like, the water is rising kind of fast.
She asks him if there's a chance that they could drown. So now things are getting serious.
Yeah.
And Larry's
like, rising.
Nobody's going to drown. He says, when our other guests start wondering where we are, they'll come down and let us out. And Gorpley goes, well, that would be true, Appleton, if any other guest had arrived.
There's no other guests.
Nobody is there.
And then Lydia starts to freak out. She's like, I don't want to drown. This place is going to fill up with water. I don't want to drown. And then Larry's father's like, hold on. Lawrence is right. And then Larry's like, thanks, Dad.
Finally, he said Lawrence is right. Oh,
nobody's going to drown. And Larry's like, thanks, Dad. And then his father goes to the middle of the staircase, and on the wall next to the staircase is a red metal box, which is the fuse box.
It says high voltage.
It says high voltage, and he goes, it's the fuse box, and he goes, by the time the water reaches this fuse box, we'll all be electrocuted.
Dun, 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 dun.
And then we hear this it's not lesson time music, but
No.
it's another nostalgic music that we heard in the at the end of part one's cliffhangers.
It's like
of two-parters. It's like very trilling.
Yes.
It's like
very
trilling suspense end of part one cliffhanger music. It was very common. It reminded me of like the Brady Bunch episode.
Oh yes, like the Hawaii episodes,
or the Grand Canyon,
episodes.
They're multi-part Brady Bunch, where they're in trouble, and it's like this trilling suspense music. And as that music is playing, everyone is looking panicked, and we just see water gushing. They're all on the stairs. There's like, 6 of them now?
Yeah.
7 of them.
Yeah.
All on the stairs. And we see water continuing to gush into the basement. And then the words, "to be continued,"
oh boy,
appear on the screen. And that's the episode. What's going to happen?
And roll credits. Oh dear. What an exciting cliffhanger ending.
Will they get electrocuted?
Will they drown or get electrocuted first? Nobody knows.
How are they going to get out?
Before we dive into some things, listener, check out our TeePublic shop. You can get some swag to keep yourself dry next time you're in a flooded situation. Just use one of our t-shirts or hoodies to plug up the hole. You can buy that as well as mugs and cell phone cases, all with the logo at danceofjoypod.com/shop.
We don't have baseball bats, but we have baseball style.
There's baseball shirts.
T-shirts.
There's like the style. And I still have to make, I have to make a shirt that's the Ritz Royals
that would
baseball
be great.
Style.
Let's do that.
Shirt. I have so many ideas that I never get around to them. That's my fault.
Write them down.
I'll write them down. We'll do it.
And put a little square next to it so you can check them out.
What'd you think of this episode, sister? I liked meeting the patriarch Appleton. And
I liked it, but I was
he's
so
horrible.
annoyed too.
I know.
I'm like,
he's horrible. We see the damage
horrible.
he's done to Larry Appleton coming through.
Yeah, it's like it hurts to watch this episode on Larry's behalf, but Larry has also picked up a lot of the same traits. But in all of the episodes we've watched to date, we see Larry come, reflect on those traits in the lesson time part, but like in this one, we don't see it just yet. Maybe it's coming in the next episode.
Oh,
the
he better
just
stand
like
up
the
to
father.
He needs to stand up to
but
his
the father
dad by
doesn't
the end of it.
reflect on his own behavior yet.
Well, yes. Hopefully he will see what he's done and they'll both come to some kind of reconciliation. Because, Walter has done a number, clearly, on Larry Appleton.
First of all, why did it take him 3 years to visit his son in Chicago? Well, he has a lot of kids.
He's got to visit 9 of his kids. They're all over the place. And Larry's one of the younger ones. So I'm sure they keep him busy. But again, another crazy... I like that there's a two-parter here. I think there's only 6 two-part episodes during the whole run of the season. They're kind of doing like one a season, but season 1 and 3 didn't have two-part episodes, but the others did. Okay. So it's great how they try to fit in a two-part. This water, apparently, I don't know how they did this, but I guess they had to use like a huge water tank to build this set on.
The whole basement set was inside a water tank or something like that.
Yeah, it's probably what they used to film underwater sequences or swimming sequences, but they just put the set like in a pool. Because I guess it's going to fill up on the MGM studio lot. So that's exciting. And we'll see if they get electrocuted. I don't know. I thought it was good. I like meeting Larry's father. It's so crazy.
I like meeting Larry's father. And it is weird that he had a party for him, but that helped the story, I guess. Maybe they had a party because they had 2 wheels of cheese to get rid of.
Oh, my God. Maybe they was just like, you know what? We're going to have a party. Who's going to eat all this cheese? It's going to go bad.
Well, nobody came to eat the cheese only.
I didn't even see the cheese sitting out. Oh, it was on the little crackers, maybe.
Yeah. No, it was a fun episode. There was some good physical comedy, subtle physical comedy. We had a song and dance number from Balky. We had excellent wordplay with Mantle and Mantle.
Mantle.
Loved it. Mantle Maris. Whoever thought of that was like,
Yes,
Brilliant.
and why didn't they just all rush up the door whenever
Why
it
didn't they
opened?
just
Why are you
leave?
standing
Yes.
there? The minute Jennifer walks in, Larry should have been like,
Why didn't they
oh,
just
good, let's leave immediately before we get locked in
that
again.
was my question. Because then there wouldn't have been a two-parter
No,
episode.
and then there would be no comedy and no
But I was also thinking the same thing.
Like,
Why did they not
they're just standing there yelling, just rush the door. No. Don't be ridiculous was not said.
Of course I have. Don't be ridiculous.
And also no Dimitri appearance, even though we clearly had like a wide shot of the bookshelf during the party. Like you could have had him with the little hat on.
Yeah.
Or something.
No,
or like a cheese wheel. His own cheese wheel would have been great.
Cheese wheel or with like galoshes on or something.
Yeah. Well, we didn't know about the water at that point, but
oh, that's right.
Maybe in the second episode.
With a cheese wheel or a Father Dimitri.
Oh, yes, that like looking down on him that he can't.
A Baba Dimitri, yeah.
Trying to impress. But that's the other thing. Like, who can't relate to? I had the same thing. Like, I would cut the grass, and the father would be like, "You cut it the wrong way."
Father
I'm like, "How do you
or mother, yeah.
We cut the grass. I went up and down. He's like, "No, you're supposed to go across this way." I'm like, "The grass is cut. What's the problem?"
You cut that circle cake the wrong way. But the circle cake, I will stand behind. It makes a lot of sense. The proper
yes, well, there is efficient. There's things that are efficient. There are things that are standards of presentation that we still hold true. But I don't remember. I could, maybe a couple of "I'm proud of you, son" would also help in there.
Yeah.
You gotta mix it in.
Gosh, are you kidding me? We're still waiting for that from our mother. Can you just be proud, please?
How do you want your steak? That's why we have to always ask her how she wants her steak. The only time.
The funniest thing? All this time, we've been waiting for her to say she's proud. And like recently, the only one thing she's ever complimented me on was the way I folded her socks after the laundry because I did it from something I saw on
like
Instagram.
Yeah.
and I just did her socks, and now she thinks I'm like some genius magician laundry folder.
All it took was one sock hack to bring her around this whole time.
One sock hack. You can win your mother's love even in your 40s.
Listen.
Just learn to fold the socks.
Or if you practice that 3-point shirt folding deal that I could never do. I don't know how to get it so perfectly.
I have been doing that. She's not so impressed with that.
That's
hasn't even
too.
noticed it, but she noticed the socks.
There's something about both the socks being together and being compact that you'll never lose them. That it's just
it is a good hack.
It blew her mind. It's a good hack.
It blew her mind. She was like, "Where did you?" She was like, "Where did you
I'm
learn
so proud
this?"
of you for rolling those socks.
I was like, "What did you think I did with my laundry? Just like scrunched it in a ball and left it on the bed to sleep around for 3 days." I also do that.
This will be your
not
legacy.
anymore. Yes,
she folded socks so well.
She was like, "My daughter was brilliant at folding socks." Let's talk about Perfect Strangers today, which is, of course, the segment of our show in which we discuss, can this episode be remade today?
This is, again, like last episode, this is kind of timeless. I don't see anything.
You could still get locked in a basement, but nowadays people would have their cell phones with them.
Oh, yes. That would be the one different thing is you could call.
So you would have to write something into the script about
their cell phone. Everybody
or like the phones don't work in the basement, or they. Yeah.
But
or maybe like when they came to the party, they were being like super obnoxious, like everyone put your phones in the dish.
Something like that. We're having one of those parties where nobody's on their phones.
We're being disconnected.
We're going to be here in the moment. This is in the moment party. Yeah.
And then they get mad at each other. They're like, why'd you have to take everyone's phone?
Yes. Why do you have to be so hippy-dippy new agey? No, but trying to prove yourself to your father is still a thing. The whole baseball bit. Could still happen, absolutely.
Yeah. But you definitely would need no phones because you wouldn't be able to like Google how to fix the
turn
rust or the pipes or whatever.
Yeah, no, I mean it seems kind of timeless to me. I think it still holds up.
Also, if you spill cement over a drain, don't you have to do something about that? That's like some kind of building violation.
Who's the landlord at this building is my other question because he lets him get away.
It used to be Twinkasetti, but we don't know if they're in the same building.
Oh, if it's Twinkasetti, then he's like a slumlord. He does it, but they get away with so many things in this building and not get evicted. I would have tossed them after the pipe dreams incident. Personally.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But man, all the noise, the chainsawing, the demoing, the water damage. How's this building still up?
I know they like ruined the walls last week.
Yeah. Did they fix that? Who fixed that?
How did
Who
they
paid
fix
for
that so quickly?
They have no safety deposit left.
Well, it was just in. Oh, it was in Balky's bedroom. But anyway.
Yeah, we didn't
but
get- we
yeah,
didn't go there.
otherwise, yeah, if you account for the lack of cell phones, the rest would still hold up. The premise is timeless, seeking approval from your father.
Yeah. And now they're in a grave situation. So come back, listener, next week. Will they get electrocuted? The water is rising pretty fast.
What's going to happen?
Even if they shut off the power, how are they going to get out? This is going to be great. Does Balky know how to swim? Of course he does. He's from Mypos. I feel like there's a lot of swimmers.
It's an
there.
island.
Yeah, it's an island. In the meantime, you can support this very show if we brought you some fun nostalgia feels. Revisiting Perfect Strangers. You could buy us a virtual coffee. Visit our website, danceofjoypod.com. There's a little buy us a coffee button there. Toss a little dig does. All of it goes back into the show, and we appreciate any and all support.
We also appreciate it if you would just visit us on our website, danceofjoypod.com. There you can find all the links to where you can listen to this podcast, where you can leave us a review or a rating or like or subscribe or whatever you do with podcasts. You can also leave us a voice message right from the website. Tell us about your favorite rhombuses. Tell us if you knew that octagons are mollusks or not.
Octopus.
Tell us what your father taught you the right way to do something. Was it the circle cake or something else?
What shape do
We
you cut
want
cheese
to
into?
know.
Yes.
You can send that to us in an email too if you'd like at danceofjoypod@gmail.com, or you can visit us on any of our socials and just say hi. We'd love to hear from you. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. But Imran, what is the most important thing our listeners should do?
Never, ever, ever cut a circle wheel into rhombuses. And also, finger food goes on the coffee table. Two important things from the Appleton clan to remember. No, the most important thing is to share the show, listener. Spread it around. Text it to your buddies. Post it on your socials. Or just tell one person IRL about...
Tell your know-it-all father.
Tell your father. Have them bond over this episode and think of fun memories that you had with your dad while you're listening. Yes. Happy Father's Day.
Who signed your baseball bat?
Yes.
Anyway, that's our show for today.
Thanks
and
for
now
listening.
we are so happy.
Now we are so happy we do the dance of joy.
Hey, 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 hey.